I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
We're going to buy American. We're going to buy America. Folks, so trade rules. Buy America has been the law since 1933. Also caps and won't even go into effect until 2025. And by the way, that law was written and the benefit expires in 2025. New electric grids that are able to weather major storms and not prevent those forest fires.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Kelly, and we're back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. I would very much appreciate it if you would do that. And if you're a returning listener, subscriber, thank you as always for being a friend. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you to everyone who's watching this video, and stick around if you like things like true crime stories, news, politics, and so much more. We get into it, guys. So we are getting into, speaking of getting into things, that was from Donald Trump, the man himself, posted directly to his Truth Social page after the Biden State of the Union address. Okay, it's called We Do a Little Trolling. Okay,
we like to troll. We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
Yep, exactly right. So that's epic. That's what it was. That's pretty much exactly how it went. And I covered it on my channel last night as it was happening. But for some reason, my sound was all effed up. You know, it's always got to be something going on. And I sounded like I was broadcasting straight from a tin can, which, you know, whatever. But I wanted to go over some of the highlights here and just kind of highlight the way that he was absolutely gaslighting the fuck out of everyone in real time and lying through his porcelain teeth. Okay, so we're just going to go over some of the major moments that Joe Biden just was completely dishonest and totally out of line, out of whack, and didn't really give us the true State of the Union. So before we do, though, I do want to show you guys one more thing that I found on Instagram.
I thee wed. With this ring, I thee wed. Now, Emily.
With this ring.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
What the hell's he doing here? What are you doing here? Make him stop. Light on and the music off. Is that on? Hey, idiot buddy. You got it. You know where I paid for this wedding?
What are you doing? Don't do that with your head! Stupid head!
Debbie, I can't. Keep going. No, you wanted to pay? You idiot. You're running the will. That I can tell you.
My wedding too! Day one! Worry about it. I have a cut your video. Emily!
Please,
You're such a jerk!
Emily!
Emily, sorry, I'm not ready yet.
Where's he going?
Wow. Hey. With this ring, I thee wed.
What was that at the end? I don't know who came in at the end to marry Nikki Haley. Probably the military-industrial complex or a big pharma or China or somebody. But, you know, who cares at this point? We're rid of her. So, pretty much favorite meme of the decade, almost, maybe, possibly. It's in the running. I don't know. It's definitely top 5 material. So I just wanted to share that with you guys before we got into the shenanigans of last night. But without further ado, let's get into those.
Good evening. Good evening.
If I were smart, I'd go home now. Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans. In January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, "I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers in war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way.
So I just want to start it off right there because he said a lot and it was all worth nothing. Okay. So first of all, Ukraine's not asking only for weapons. Okay. We've sent them countless amounts of money, weapons, other kinds of aid, and God only knows where all of that has gone. Okay. So let's just do a little fact checking. Okay. So I just want to point this out first and foremost. The GDP for the fake country of Ukraine, okay, guys, has been for the last several years before this war was started, somewhere around 150 to 160 billion dollars. Okay, so let that sink in. Okay, that's like nothing. That's minuscule. And how much have we sent Ukraine? Well, we've sent them a fuck ton. More than any other country. Okay? This article from September of last year, $113 billion, where the U.S. investment in Ukraine aid has gone. So this is showing direct military commitments alone at $43 billion, which would, I guess you could classify as weapons or, things of that nature, ammunition, whatever have you. But we're also paying people's pensions over there. We're paying people's salaries. We're paying for, everything under the sun for Ukraine. We're paying for Ukraine to exist. Okay, as well as other countries are also slightly chipping in. So it's just all a bunch of bullshit from Joe Biden. Once again, they're laundering money out of Ukraine. They're using that war as a farce. And this threat that he used in that statement that he said at the very end there about Putin wanting to invade other countries, he's the new Hitler. He's just going to keep on encroaching into Europe until he's gotten all the way to France, is also bullshit. Putin reveals the one case where Russia would invade more European countries. He claimed that there is only one case in which Russia would invade more European countries after Ukraine. The Russian leader said sending troops into countries such as Latvia or Poland would be absolutely out of the question. When pressed on whether he could imagine a scenario where he would decide to invade Poland, he said there was just one. Putin responded only in one case, if Poland attacks Russia. Why? Because we have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or anywhere else. Why would we do that? We simply don't have any interest. So, we can all pretend that Joe Biden knows the direct intentions and, the mind of Vladimir Putin better than he does. Or you can just take the man at his word, because what do we actually really know about Vladimir Putin other than what our media propagates to us and tries to make us believe that he's this big, bad, scary boogeyman, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt and say that, well, if that's what he's saying, that's what it is. Ukraine's not even a real country. All these other countries that are being talked about are either puppet states to Russia already, places like Latvia or Belarus and things like that. Those are already like basically under Russia's thumb and, suck at the teat of Russia anyways. Poland is its own entity. I don't think he has any interest in going into Poland. And Poland is already a NATO member. So we've really pushed Vladimir Putin well past his breaking point by continuing to encroach and expand NATO when we had promised that we wouldn't do that. So it's just pure gaslighting. And don't let it fool you when Joe Biden tries to make this big bad boogeyman of Vladimir Putin. Now, is he a bad man? Could be. I don't know. I have no experience in knowing that. All I know is what I see, the little research that I've done into the situation, and, I try to do my own research and gather facts that, I believe are from reputable sources and make my own conclusions. And at the end of the day, I'm really not worried about Vladimir Putin because I'm worried about this country, which Joe Biden should take a page out of and start doing a lot more of.
Wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
Did he bow down to a Russian leader? You want to put some context around that, Joe? No, didn't think so.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, "Well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us?" I said, "You didn't pay? You're delinquent?" He said, "Yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay."
So yeah, I like to call that an America First position. I like to call that, Donald Trump taking care of his own people the way that the president of the United States is supposed to, as opposed to being Joe Biden and thinking that America should just take on the problems of all the other countries of the world and pay for everybody's way, pay to protect everybody and not have them chip in a single red cent while we sit here and go broke. The people of this country struggle every single day and can't even afford to buy houses. And Joe Biden would rather send his money to overseas nations who don't even pay into their fair share of NATO. First of all, NATO should be disbanded, okay? Donald Trump was smart when it came to NATO. He made other NATO members pay what they had not been paying previously to be a part of that alliance, okay? Otherwise, what? America was just defending everyone, paying for all of these costs, and no one else had to pay anything? I mean, it's just ridiculous. We take this position like we're the world police, like we're the leader of the free world, so nobody else has to pay us anything. Well, if we're the leaders, why don't we bully people more? Why don't we bully people into paying what they're supposed to be paying? It's ridiculous. Let's strong arm them a little bit. If we're these big bad Americans, if we're this like world leader, we look like the world cuckster otherwise. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I don't have a problem with a U.S. president looking out for the interests of this country first and telling other NATO members that don't want to pay to go and kick rocks.
History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down. In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you were here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed. America stood. America stood strong, and democracy prevailed. We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. my predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't want to single out Japan. I don't want to single out Saudi Arabia, but these are countries that people understand the kind of wealth we're talking about. There are many other countries and taking tremendous advantage of this, including NATO. If you look at the payments that we're making to NATO, they're totally disproportionate with everybody else's, and it's ridiculous. As far as other causes that are near and dear, this is the cause, because if we can solve this, then we're able to take care of something that I consider to be ultimately of ultimate importance, and that is the homeless situation, that is the farmers, that is the sick. We don't have any money. This country is busted, and it's busted because we're doing things that we shouldn't be doing. If we had business ability in this country, we'd be making lots of profit, so-called surplus profit, and that profit, that money, could be going to defend and I literally mean defend our homeless and our poor and our sick and our farmers, and that's where we ought to be spending the money, not giving it to countries that don't give a damn for us to start off with.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
For some people, the ultimate goal in life has been becoming the President of the United States. Would you like to be the President of the United States?
I really don't believe I would, Ronna, but I would like to see somebody as the President who could do the job, and there are very capable people in this country.
Most people who are capable are not running for office. Most men are frightened of politics today.
It is a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
It is a shame. The most capable people are not necessarily running for political office, and that is a very sad commentary on the country. They had major corporations and they had this and that, but they are not running for political office.
Why wouldn't someone like yourself run for political office? You have all the money that you possibly need. You've accomplished a great deal, even though you are only 34. I know there's a lot of things that you possibly can do in the years ahead. Why wouldn't you dedicate yourself to public service?
Because I think it's a very mean life. I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country, but I see it as being a mean life, and I also see it as somebody with strong views and somebody with the kind of views that are maybe a little bit unpopular, which may be right, but may be unpopular, wouldn't necessarily have a chance of getting elected against somebody with no great brain but a big smile. And that's a sad commentary for the political process.
Television, in a strange way, has ruined that process, hasn't it?
It's hurt the process very much. I mean, the Abraham Lincolns of the world. Abraham Lincoln would probably not be electable today because of television. He was not a handsome man, and he did not smile.
Ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you, without regard to party, to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections. Restore trust in our institutions. And make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place.
This is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop, and they should not.
These people are tearing up our lives.
Third straight night, Portland police declared a riot.
The vast majority of the protest has been peaceful.
Over the weekend, 59 officers injured and 47 people arrested.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing a proposal to cut $1 billion from the New York City Police Department.
We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
This has been declared a riot.
You won't be safe in Joe Biden's America.
And this is Rand Paul getting attacked. Senator Rand Paul in the middle of the BLM riots during 2020. But yes, let's all disavow political violence, right? Again, bullshit and pure gaslighting at its finest. But we continue.
4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses? Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind? The mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. The president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news, but in 1,000 cities and towns, the American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. Folks, my inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years. A record. A record. Unemployment at 50-year lows. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will. More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world, and tending lower. The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
Wrong.
With a law that I proposed and signed, not one of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit.
What a fucking liar. My God.
But what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American who needs it.
What a
Everyone.
fat fucking liar.
For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs. Just like the VA.
I mean, if there's one thing that Joe Biden loves to do is to take a Donald Trump policy and try to like rework it into different vocabulary words and pass it off as his own achievements. He's such a piece of shit loser, and it just enrages me to no ends when he does this sort of thing. And it's textbook when it comes to dishonesty, when it comes to just playing in people's faces and just outright lying to every American to try to pass himself off as a good person, to try to pass himself off as a good politician when he's none of those things.
Well, my predecessor and many in this chamber want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before, and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. We enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill.
Oh yeah, the bitch.
Doing an incredible job as First Lady. We'll pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world. And I, like I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is. And I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans. I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? No. Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? No. I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact, the child tax credit I to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. Look, I'm a capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut. Overwhelmingly benefits the topping 1%, the very wealthy and the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? No. Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? No. I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid 0 in federal income tax. 0.
What the fuck
Not
are you
anymore.
talking about?
Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%. So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private checks, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that can be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay.
Just
no billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
I mean, they're the ones creating all the jobs, so I don't know.
I propose a minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what?
I propose you stop lying to everyone and let's abolish the IRS, and taxation is also theft. That's just my proposal, though.
What that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America.
Nothing.
Imagine the future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need.
$500 billion over the next 10 years. You guys wipe your ass with that on a yearly basis, you know, and then tell us all that you guys are doing so much for all of us. Okay, you steal that much money from us on, a Saturday, on a Wednesday, on your day off, you know. You all are a bunch of thieves, stealing currently from the American people. And you want to talk about $500 billion over 10 years? It's a drop in the bucket, Joey, okay? You send that much to Ukraine on a Tuesday. We've already sent over $100 billion to Ukraine in, 2 years? So give it a rest. Hang it up. You're not fooling anybody. We're talking in trillions these days, not billions, sir. So what is $500 billion over 10 years going to do for anybody? Okay? Please riddle me that.
Need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine the future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities, so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends On the other side of it, I want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
Fucking liar. You and what army? You and what fucking gang of retards?
Pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do.
Oh,
it's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no. You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealth. That's good to hear. In November, my team began serious negotiations with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen.
Oh, he's about to piss me this is where he really made me want to fucking throw something at my screen that I was watching this on. Here's where he really made me want to light myself on fire, a la, that retard who lit himself on fire in front of the Israel embassy in the name of ending stupidity that is Joe Biden, because he goes on to... this is what made me want to do this video, was this spiel he gave on immigration and the way that he absolutely gaslit the fuck out of me. I was personally attacked, is how I feel, is how I took it, as a personal attack, because immigration is my number one issue, and I know it's the number one issue for a lot of people around the country, and for him to sit up here and try to make it the Republicans' problem with this piss poor bill that was proposed to all of us. Just the epitome of absolutely pissing in our face and telling us that it's raining, okay? And calling this the most, the biggest reform on the border and the toughest, measures put into place in order to curb this crisis is a joke. And it is such a slap in the face that it's unreal. Just the way that he goes on to talk about this. And again, taking talking points directly from Donald Trump and trying to reword them and pass them off as his own stupid word salad is outrageous. And I'm triggered. Okay, that's all I can say.
Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh?
No, we don't.
The conservatives got together and said it was a good bill?
No.
I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500...
Wipe that shit-eating grin off your fucking stupid face, you old retard.
More security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is... Yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read.
It's unbelievable. It is this was the most shit talking he did throughout his entire speech to all of the Republicans sitting on the other side, when he has done the least. And I would argue he has done the most in order to encourage people to cross the border illegally. He has done the most to blow this whole entire border crisis up, okay? He is responsible, in my opinion, single-handedly almost, for creating what we currently have right now and allowing all of these dangerous illegals into this country to kill and perpetuate more crime on American citizens, and in order to flood the border with these illegal immigrants who he wants to make citizens, okay, and replace all of the natural born American citizens. It is solely in his hands. And here he is talking shit to everybody on the right side who actually, some of them actually do care. Genuinely. Some of them actually take this issue seriously. I believe, not all of them. A lot of them there are just part of the swamp as well. But it's just insanely offensive to me that he has the audacity to sit up here and talk shit like this to people. And he's not only talking shit to them, he's talking shit to Americans who care about this issue and trying to play in all of our faces. To me, this epically backfired because this was so disrespectful and disingenuous. And, you know, I am visibly angry. Like, I'm actually fucking angry over this part of his stupid speech because this was the most offensive thing that he said the entire time, in my opinion, because he finally got around to talking about the border and our American issues when it comes to immigration, which is the number one issue for a lot of people in this country. You know, almost done with his speech, he finally gets around to talking about it, and he just spouts lies and starts talking shit and has that shit-eating grin all over his face while people heckle him, and he could care less. He could give a fuck less. And he's a disrespectful little prick.
I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.
I'd be a winner.
Lincoln Riley.
Who's Lincoln Riley? Who is Lincoln Riley? Joe Biden? You angry old senile son of a bitch. Who is Lincoln Riley? Okay? Marjorie Taylor Greene gave you this button and specifically told you to say her name and say it properly. And you, with your little smug, stupid ass face, said to her, I know how to say her name, and then go on to botch it, okay? Typical Joe Biden move.
Was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many thousands of people being killed by legal?
Exactly right.
To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand.
You know what? No one
cares. If we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing, and it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks, I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now. And if my predecessor is watching.
So it's called a border bill, but in this bill, okay, I just want to read out some numbers to you guys. $20 billion is for border security, okay? Out of $118 billion. And then the bill also included $60 billion to support Ukraine, so another $60 billion to them, $14 billion in security assistance for Israel, and then $2.4 billion to U.S. Central Command in the conflict in the Red Sea. And then $5 billion for U.S. partners in the Indo-Pacific and facing China. I mean, so it's just fucking more money overseas to fund overseas war, and a lowly $20 billion thrown, you know, as a way to add insult to injury to the current situation that we face, and you know, as if he's throwing us a bone. Oh, here's $20 billion, I guess, out of the $118 billion for this so-called border bill in order to shut you all up. That does actually nothing to secure the border and only really applies to processing more immigrants into the country and allowing that process to continue as it has been so disastrously been ongoing, as we've seen throughout Joe Biden's entire administration. Act like you care again, Joe Biden, and piss me off one more time.
Instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together.
No.
I don't
want to do shit with you.
I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country.
They are.
I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more.
Shut up.
Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more.
What a fucking liar.
I know who we are as Americans. And we're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans. His ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of every place, from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland.
Look at what they value and look at their budget. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Hello?
We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it.
I'm
ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. The year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest.
So I just wanted to show that last part because truly in despicable form, that man was a Gold Star father whose son died in the disastrous Afghanistan pullout that Joe Biden oversaw. And I just want to show you guys this article because in a disgusting move by the Biden administration, this man was arrested after heckling Biden at the State of the Union address. So Steve Niku was escorted out of the House galleries during Biden's speech after he stood up and began yelling Abbey Gate repeatedly. The heckling was a reference to an attack at the Abbey Gate of Hamid Karzai International Airport in Afghanistan that occurred during the military's withdrawal from the country. The surprise attack killed 13 U.S. service members and injured at least 170 civilians, including Niku's son, Marine Lance Corporal Kareem Niku. So he was removed from the House galleries and arrested by Capitol Police on the misdemeanor charge of crowding, obstructing, or incommoding, whatever the fuck that means. So they're probably going to give him 22 years if the Biden justice system keeps up with their usual pattern of absolutely overreaching and jailing people who don't deserve to be jailed in any way, shape, or form.
Well, many believe President Biden's State of the Union address likely set some sort of unofficial record tonight for the number of interruptions and/or disruptions. The senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram is live with more on that story. Chad, good evening.
Trace, good evening. Disruption was the main theme tonight. Capitol Police arrested a Gold Star father shouting about Afghanistan and the attack at the Abbey Gate in 2021. Trace, listen to this.
America is safer today than when I took office. The year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history.
U.S. Capitol Police say they arrested 51-year-old Stephen Nikui. He's a Gold Star father. His son is Kareem Nikui, who was killed during the administration's botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. Nikui was the guest of GOP Florida Representative Brian Mast. The dad was shouting Abbey Gate and 2nd Battalion 1st Marines. He was asked to stop, but did not. He's charged with disrupting Congress. Lawmakers are upset about the arrest. Now, Santos announced he's running for Congress tonight. He's running for the seat held by New York Republican Nick LaLota. Garrett Graves, a Republican from Louisiana, called Santos tonight a moron. Graves says they should write a rule.
Well, Garrett Graves is a moron. He's actually one of my members of Congress here from Louisiana, and he's a retard, and he's a piece of shit, do-nothing politician who I very much fervently disagree with. And I still think that the Republican Congress are absolutely feckless and idiotic for expelling George Santos and diminishing their very own majority, like utter buffoons would. Useful idiots, okay?
There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oh. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Before going further, I want to send our support and our deepest sympathies to the victims and families touched by the terrible school shooting yesterday in Perry, Iowa. To the entire community, we love you, we pray for you, and we ask God to heal and comfort really the whole state and the pain that you have. This is something that's very unique to your state. We're really with you as much as anybody can be. It's a very terrible thing that happened, and it's just horrible to see that happening. That's just horrible. So surprising to see it here. But we have to get over it. We have to move forward. We have to move forward. But to the relatives and to all of the people that are so devastated right now, to a point they can't breathe, they can't live, we are with you all the way. We're with you, and we love you and cherish you.
So, I mean, was it the best statement ever? No, not necessarily, no. I mean, it was like, one of Trump's just whatever, like, not his best, statement regarding that issue. But what is he supposed to say? Let me just ask you that. What do you say in the face of a school shooting, okay? Besides, I'm how horribly sorry, how horrible it is, how everyone's in shock over it. I mean, nobody wants to see something like that happen. But it's not, he understands, I think as most rational Americans do, that, making some empty promise about how you're going to take guns away from people does nothing. And it's also dishonest and empty, because you're never going to take guns away from Americans. You just never will. It's not happening. So to try to make those promises is an utter pander, and he understands this, and he knows that guns don't kill people. Guns don't just get up and go walk into schools and start shooting children, okay? That's not what happens. We have more issues that are under the surface that are facing Americans today, that are causing these problems, that are causing young people to be so disturbed and so distressed that they go into places like schools and churches and other places, public places, and shoot them up. Okay, it's disgusting. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants to see it, but there's really, honestly, nothing you can really say in the face of such tragedy that's going to make anybody else feel any better besides we're praying for you, and even that doesn't do anything to anybody. So it's just so ridiculous to me that Joe Biden tries to pass this off as, Trump just being an uncaring, just get over it. All you people just get over it after the school shooting. It's not even remotely close to what he said in the proper context or in the way that, in the message that Donald Trump was trying to portray. He's right. We do have to get over it. Life does go on. Despite horrible tragedies, guess what? Life does go on. And that's not what people want to hear in the face of a tragedy. So, yes, I mean, like I said, it wasn't the perfect statement to make after such a thing. But at the end of the day, it's true to some degree.
I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
You're not going to get shit.
Pass universal background checks. None of this. I fought the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners.
What?
As we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran.
And I just want to say, after he was, his motorcade was blockaded by Palestine protesters, and his administration has been absolutely tormented by these lunatics on the left who have been heckling the fuck out of him and people in his party endlessly, mercilessly, for the past, several months, to the point of it's giving most of us on the right utter glee and just sheer joy to see them be heckled by their very own party. He spent about 5 minutes talking to those people. So how do you guys feel about that? I want to know.
Let me close with this. Yeah. I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever.
The funniest thing he's ever said.
I know
during
the
this
American
speech.
story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me.
Oh, really?
I was born in mid-World War II when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working-class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired me to pursue a career of service. I left the law firm and became a public defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president of our first black president. Now president to the first women vice president.
Wow, he loves blacks so much. Wow.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Truly a pander. Truly a dishonest freak hoe that Joe Biden is. So that was his gaslighting State of the Union address. And those were just some of the moments that I pulled out to highlight here, because it made me sick to my stomach, really, the whole entire thing. I think it's, only right to listen to what the real president has to say in regards to Joe Biden's piss poor State of the Union address. And I have not watched this yet, so I will be live reacting here to this with you guys. So what is this? Okay, great, awesome. Donald Trump posts memes. I like that about him. So let's watch his response.
Joe Biden is on the run from his record and lying like crazy to try and escape accountability for the horrific devastation he and his party have created. All the while they continue the very policies that are causing this horror show to go. We cannot take it any longer as a country. Joe Biden's sad excuse for a State of the Union address aside, here are the facts. When I left office, we gave Joe Biden the most secure border in U.S. history. We gave him remain in Mexico, very tough to get, but I got it. Safe third agreements, the asylum ban, Title 42, 571 miles of border wall, rapid deportations, and much more. We had the safest border in the history of our country. As soon as he got in, Crooked Joe and his radical left lunatics deliberately dismantled each and every one of those policies that were so good, that gave us this best border. According to Tom Homan, according to Brandon Judd, the top people, they said it was the single best border we've ever had in recorded history. What's happened now is a horror show. The country, our country, is being laughed at all over the world. Over the past 3 years, Biden has actively aided and abetted the importation of millions and millions of illegal alien migrants and resettled them into your communities. At any time during the past 3 years, Crooked Joe Biden, and he is crooked as you can be and the most incompetent president we've ever had, could have called off the invasion. But to this day, he is keeping the hordes of illegal migrants and illegal aliens pouring into the country. By the time his term is up, we could have close to 20 million people in our country. And we have no idea from where they come. We have no idea who they are. They have no identification. Many come from mental institutions. Many come from prisons. They're terrorists. We have a calamity the likes of which we've never seen before. The very first bill Joe Biden sent to Congress was a plan to turn illegal aliens into voting citizens. That's just what we need. No matter what Crooked Joe says, his actions prove his priority is to import a colossal new illegal alien population and let them all stay. My priority is securing our border and sending Crooked Joe's illegals back home. Likewise, the sight of a feeble Joe Biden talking about shrinkflation, the term he uses, is one of the most ridiculous things this country has ever seen. Shrinkflation is just another way of saying inflation. It means that you're losing a lot of money because these people don't know what they're doing. It was all caused by Crooked Joe Biden and the people that surround him, and they are radical left, Marxists and fascists and communists and socialists. We have people running our country, the likes of which we have never seen before. He and the communists and his party looted trillions of dollars from you and spent it on illegal aliens and the Green New Scam, triggering the highest inflation in many, many decades. If your packages are getting smaller, that's the reason why, under my leadership, there was no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. It's time to tell Crooked Joe Biden, you're fired.
You're fired, Joe Biden. You're fired. Yeah, great. Love it. You know, to the point. There could have been some more jabs in there. There could have been a few more zingers, a few more, you know, trolling, whatever, Trumpisms. But overall, he got to the point and he got it done, okay? That's how you do it. And, yeah, we need the man with the plan back in the office that rightfully belongs to him. I mean, how funny is this? Great. Who else does this? So what do you guys think about all of it? I want to know. Please let me know in the comments down below and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this. Like the video if you liked it also. I would appreciate that. And yeah, guys, until next time, y'all take it easy out there. I will see y'all later. And bye.
I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people. The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.